but I'm constantly thinking of the future. What can I do? What can I do to make my life better, to make my family's life better? And sometimes that comes around into some worry and some anxiety, and it's all based on uncertainty, which is the nature of life. We don't know what's coming next. We can predict it. I mean, we've developed quantum computers with artificial intelligence that help us predict the future. And yet, it's just a probability. I'd say, 65% chance that this event will happen, and we just can't predict it. But that uncertainty causes us pain in the form of anxiety and fear. But we're constantly, as humans, trying to understand and give meaning to life, or a moment, or a situation, or something. We desire that certainty, and the thing, and we do this because we anticipate solving them. We make assumptions and we try to solve these problems that we have, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But without that uncertainty, we wouldn't have this problematic state. And that's when you're thinking about being comfortable with the unknown. It's a good thing that you don't know. It's a very good thing that you don't know, because what that does, that sparks curiosity in us. Whether you view this unknown thing as a good or a bad thing is completely irrelevant. What it is it sparks that curiosity that helps you develop the plan and the strategy to solve that problem. And when I talk about uncertainty in the financial markets, is what I've dealt with pretty much my entire career since I was 18. And it's, you can clearly see uncertainty in financial markets with a risk-on, risk-off attitude. And generally, when things start getting to be uncertain, there's a political thing coming up, which is what you're doing. That'll increase volatility. The business confidence is declining. That'll increase volatility. And volatility is a measure of uncertainty. And if you're not familiar with financial markets, then that could be one measure to follow, which is the VIX in the U.S. markets. And when that starts getting a little crazy, then you'll know there's economic uncertainty. And I think there's a volatility measure I've got a volatility measure for so many different markets, and it's just it's based on price performance. But I track, it's me. I track the uncertainty in financial markets, and it usually pays off with profitability. And so that's my next thing about trying to get a comfortable feeling with uncertainty is uncertainty in monetary terms provides opportunities for profit. And that's something I've become comfortable with, and I look for when things are going well and the market's just going where it's supposed to go. That's not fun at all. You just put your money into one thing and you get the returns everybody else gets. But when there's uncertainty in a particular market, in a particular company, in a particular segment of the economy, then that's interesting. It's not scary to me. I mean, it might be scary to some people in that industry, like the restaurant industry, which got hammered by COVID. That's not fun for the people who own those businesses. But for people like me, I see opportunity in that. And the idea, the solution that I came up with was partnering and consolidating these restaurants, not putting them out of business, not being a vulture and buying them for nothing, but to put together funds that would allow these great restaurant brands to stay open and provide some efficiency and consolidating some synergies that would help them thrive in this environment, as well as some technology and some evolution in the restaurant environment with deliveries and all sorts of other things. But that was my idea, and I've become comfortable with uncertainty in that way because I see it as a way to profit. But there's other things in your life, there's relationship uncertainty. I talk about relationships a lot of times. Maybe it's something I'm focused on, but there's uncertainty in other areas of your life that's not driven by money. But what we're trying to do here in this particular video is develop an awakened relationship with uncertainty. Because what not knowing does is it allows clarity. It allows us to view, it allows us to have a relationship with what is, and it's not a mind grasping or trying to know. It's a mind that's fully available in that moment. We're not trying to do something over here. We're not worried about stuff that doesn't exist. And so when we can observe the way we think about that uncertain thought that we have, that uncertain moment, that uncertainty that we have in our life, when we can observe that and say, oh, okay, that makes, that's something that I don't know the answer to, and that's okay. When we do that, we now have a mind that's not out there trying to solve problems that we have no idea how to solve. We're fully available to observe. And when we put all of our capacity into that observation, then we can spark that creativity I mentioned earlier and actually solve the problem instead of being worried. Having a lot of our brain capacity with the worry of the uncertainty, we can devote it to actually helping it. And we can meet that moment with wisdom instead of just reacting to whatever it is and say, oh my God, I'm freaking out because I don't know what's about to happen. You can say, well, I don't know what's about to happen, and that's okay. What can we do about it? And you start putting together a plan to make that happen. It's not caring about the event. It's not caring about COVID or who the next president will be or what's happening over in Europe. That's not what it is. You care, but you're comfortable with not knowing what the outcome will be. And the way we get there is we think about why we have that desire to know. It comes from a place where we're insecure, and then we can go deeper into that insecurity and try to develop a sense of being okay with that insecurity. And so that uncertainty and that insecurity comes from a personal place, whether it's you're worried about where your money comes from or where your relationship's going. If you're okay with where you are right now, then you can eliminate some of that stress and that anxiety and actually put some thought. You can calm yourself down and put some thought into how to develop your plan and to solve that particular part of your uncertainty problem. So also, when it comes to uncertainty, we find that we're judging. We instantly judge the moment. If we can identify when we're in that uncertain moment, that judgment that we're putting on it and those assumptions from our personal experiences in life, then we can improve our sense of security. Does that make sense? Because we observe that thought and we have that judgment and we insert, what we've had in our life. Like in this moment, let's say months ago when COVID was such a big thing, and I know it's still a big thing to people, I looked at it differently than you would look at it. My solutions to the problem are going to be quite different than your solutions to the problem. I did not freak out. I looked at it as this, and I looked at a bunch of different ways to do that, and I thought about how my life and my family would interact with this particular moment, and I took it without a lot of hysteria and a logical frame of mind, which I do with a lot of things. When other people completely freaked out and are scared, and I've got some family members that are just hiding, and I haven't seen in such a long time because they're so incredibly scared. They looked at it in a different way than I did, and I continue to live my life outside of that fear and anxiety because I judged it differently, and I could see where that judgment came from. So what I'm not trying to do is I'm not saying that you're trying to shut it out or stop it from happening. This moment is here for a reason. You need to find out why you care so much about it, and why you care so much about why you need to know what's going to happen. You ask yourself, do you really need to know what's happening? But more importantly, can you actually know what's going to happen? Is it possible to anticipate the outcome of this? And when it comes to COVID, no. Nobody knows what our government leaders are going to decide for us, which is another subject that I'm frustrated with. Nobody knows, what's going to happen. Nobody. So with that thought, you can worry about it all you want, but that worry is not going to solve the problem. It's just going to cause more problems with you and your family and your finances, because you're not going to be fully available for that moment. Your mind's going to be, half of it's going to be worried about, getting sick and dying, and the other half's going to be like, well, I've still got these responsibilities over here. But when you can look at it rationally, then you can use your full mind for what you need to do. When you come across these moments and you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's such a big thing. I'm so worried. I'm so stressed. If you can look at it and say, wow, what a moment of uncertainty. We don't know the answers. It's such a powerful thing when you can say, that's okay. I don't have all the answers. I see what's going on. It's affecting my life. And I don't have the answers, but I'm okay with that. And then it'll still freak you out a little bit, I understand. But once you develop this practice and you develop this skill, and it is a skill, it's not something that's going to happen instantaneously. And the more you play with what I said, and the more you try to understand what it is that I'm saying, and the process and the practice of observing these thoughts in these uncertain moments and becoming comfortable with it, and really truly believing that you can't know all the answers and you can't anticipate the future in a way that's meaningful, then your stress will reduce and your anxiety will sometimes go completely away, and you'll be able to address this uncertainty with an awakened mind, and a mind that is fully present. Thanks again for being here. Leave your comments if you've got any, and ask some questions, make your own posts about how you handle uncertainty, and I'd love to learn from you, and as well as everybody else in the group. Thanks.